All right, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox, feeding the girls. Hey, Mark, a Viking, left a comment yesterday. Whew, it's breezy. And I'm going to spin off of that comment. So Mark, if I don't get exactly what you were saying exactly right, that's okay. I'm just using it as a springboard for further discussion. And what Mark basically said, what I took from it, was something that I have heard in many forms throughout the years. And that is, I believe the gist of what he said was, look, I've got all this storage food, some of it's starting to get old, and so what I think I'm going to do, instead of throwing it out or whatever, I'm going to package it so that in times of trouble, if people show up who are hungry and starving, I can give everybody a pack of food and send them on their way to the FEMA camp or the FEMA facility or where there's help or whatever. That's too hot. Excuse me. Whew. And I've also heard people doing something like putting together little help care packages, and the thought is that then we will give those to people, the refugees on the road, the family members who just don't get it or whatever, give them this to help them on their way. Two things going on there. The first thing is this: I don't think it's going to work. I think what'll happen in that scenario is somebody shows up, you give them this to help them, and then you tell them, go that way and there's more help. And I think they will figure, or at least try, and then figure that you've got more food to give away. And so what they're gonna do is camp right across the street. And then more people are gonna come and they're gonna tell people, oh yeah, they got food to give to people. And the next thing you know, you're gonna have a refugee camp right across the street. So that's the one thing that I think is going on, and I'll come back and address that in a second. The other thing that I think is going on is this. I think we're trying to be good people. We're trying to be what we call moral. We're trying to do the right thing. And at the same time, we don't want to make the hard decisions, the hard choices. And so we are psychologically and emotionally trying to delay that tough decision, that tough emotion, push it back by saying, well, I'm not going to not feed people. I'm going to give them this little health care packet and send them on their road. Because no one wants to look at a mom and dad with three little, gorgeous children who haven't eaten in 3 days, who are just dragging, and know that, well, I have some food. Why don't I give them some food? And so nobody wants to do that. But here's what they don't do with their mental math, in my opinion. What happens when you've given away the last care package, the last cup of gruel, the last cup of rice that I've put aside for other people? You've given away the last of that, and here comes more people in need, because there's always going to be more people in need. And now you're at the point morally, whatever, scenario wise, where this food that I have is to help me and mine survive. And so if I make some rice and I give your little girl rice, that's rice that's not going to my little girl. I'm killing my little girl to keep your little girl alive for this long. And so at what point do you say, no, you can't? Yes, I have more food, but I'm going to need this food or we're going to die in 2 months. So I'm not giving you any food. At what point do you do that? And see, most people don't like to come to grips with that. And so they come up with this plan of providing these care packages to send people on their way. I don't think they're going anywhere. Hungry people, one are the ones that you're talking about, the ones that other people are talking about. Here's this, go move on. They either have enough gas in their tank, meaning their body tank, to get to where they're going, or they don't. The one meal you give them, if they're out of gas or they're on E, they're hungry, really hungry. Not like I haven't eaten for the last 4 hours, I'm starving hungry. They're probably not going anywhere. They're just gonna sit down right there. A variation on that. Oh, yes. So the problem with that then is let's say you have, I don't know, What's the average American can they do? 4 couples, 4 adult couples and a smattering of children have all gathered together at a place, right? You have formed mini tribe, you formed clan, you formed, you know, a tight family all living in one house, and we're going to make a go of it, and we have our food that we're going to do. Now you have 20, 30, 50, 100 people camped across the street. Pretty soon, they're going to outvote you for your resources. You're going to have a problem. You're going to have a whole bunch of hungry, desperate people who are doing it for the children who are going to come take what's yours. And if you resist, you know, things are going to happen. You're creating your own problem by feeding them right there. And so I ask you to give some thought to that. If you become the place that's known for handing out food, that word will spread and the people will come. Helped a church run a soup kitchen one time, and they did it like every Tuesday and Thursday. And it was free, and it was soup and chips and stuff like that, and it was good. And so these poor people would come, who were mostly drug addicts, you know, half living on the street, half not on the street. And then a lot of businessmen would come and not put any money in the offering plate, the cheap so-and-sos. They just did it because it was cheap, free food. You start handing out free food, people are going to come. They're going to stay. So that's the problem. So a possible solution. One thing we did once long, long ago in a land far, far away is we prepared these buckets. And the buckets had, I should probably do a video on that. Things like food, MRE type food, instant type food, food that didn't require a whole lot of water to make. So kind of constituted cans, you know, just stuff in the bucket, a sheet of plastic, a Bic lighter, like some full-size Band-Aids and Neosporin. That was about it. But basically our thought process was, oh, and then like these cheap little pots that we had, these little like metal pots. And so our plan was this, we put these things together and then we cached them, we buried them, we hid them way down there, 5 to 10 miles away. In different places, not all together. We didn't have one pile of buckets. It was like a bucket here and then somewhere else a bucket, somewhere else a bucket. And for each bucket, we made a little strip map, a little hand-drawn map of how to get there and where this bucket was located. So like, if it was coming to here, it would be like 5 feet, you know, southeast of that corner, buried 1 foot down, there's a bucket. Now, we also had, you know, a bucket, you know, 8 feet off the center and over here and, you know, over there by that stone wall and dun-dun-dun-dun, because, you know, we went to one area 2 nights and kind of put these buckets in. And then we had the strip map so that if people showed up, our thought process was, if they were okay people, you know, they were worthy of our assistance, we would give them this map and tell them, you can find some assistance here. And then off they go. And now they're 5 to 10 miles away. They ain't coming back. And here's a bucket. That was our thought process then. There is a reason the United States military has doctrine, meaning, you know, not just plans, but ideas, concepts of how to handle refugees, how to feed refugees, because that's what you're talking about. People with no home, on the move, who have nothing, those are refugees. You never want to be a refugee, which is why just having a bug-out bag as plan A is a bad plan, because you're a refugee with a rapidly dwindling pack of supplies, right? The military has plans to deal with refugees, and, you know, we feed people, house people, shelter people, medical people, secure people, you know, take care of their security, but you don't do it next to your base camp. That's like rule number 1. You know, we do it way over there, and we drive to there to take care of those people, or better yet, fly. Modern times, I think the first big refugee stuff we dealt with was after the first Gulf War, dealing with the Kurds. And boy, we learned a lot of lessons there. You've seen the movie Black Hawk Down? Very similar thing, right? Delivering, protecting food aid, and then warlords rise and take it and then wield it over the people. Oh, all that stuff's real. All that stuff's been happening forever. All that stuff's going to continue to happen. And you don't want it happening across the street from you. So if you're gonna put together these little meals, that's cool. You know, I've got a pallet of MREs that have been improperly stored, you know, 100 and something degree garage going down to, you know, -0 degree garage, you know, below zero, in cases that look weather worn and battered. But if you open up those cases, the MREs look brand new, right? Brand new old MREs. Is the food there any good? I doubt it. And I used to joke that I'd hand them to people and send them on their way, but you know, I'm not going to do that. So there's that. There's my thoughts on that. It's a nice idea, but I think a lot of people are psychologically delaying the inevitable of when I don't have enough food to give away and there's still need, which there's going to be. What am I going to do? I suggest you make those decisions now. And then the other one is, okay, for whatever reason you did come into a lot of extra food and you would like to prepare care packages. Cool. Don't do it at your place. Don't be handing these care packages out at your place. And you know, our initial thought before we buried those buckets was, well, we'll just drive out to this place and turn this into a distribution center. What happens when they follow you back? So there's all that kind of stuff. All right. I hope that was thoughtful. I hope that spurred some thoughts in your head for what you're going to do. Those are good thoughts to have, though, because when one, Mark, in this case you, but other people, has those thoughts, what that means is you have risen to a level of personal preparedness where you think in your mind you've taken care of your circle. Now you can start thinking out of that box. You know, I can enlarge my circle to care for more people. That's a cool thing. I just tell you, you really do need to put some thought into that or you're going to create a problem that I don't want you to do. All right, I hope that was helpful. I'm really interested in reading your comments. Please put them down below. Believe it or not, I shot this video yesterday, tried to upload it last night, and with all the, you guys know, the last video didn't go up. Matter of fact, Palmetto Paratrooper texted me, because what I did is I put that video up, pow, 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 and then I had to get busy. I got work to do out here. I got a farmstead that we got to work, right? You know, come on. And Palmetto Paratrooper, when I sat down to have a text, I'm like, oh, I have a text. And he's like, are you aware that that video didn't load correctly? I'm like, oh man. So I had to do it again. And then that's when I figured out, because today all I wanted to do was get up and while I was having my first cup of coffee, just hit for Patreon. Now I had to reshoot the whole thing, which is cool. It's a good subject. So I hope y'all get something out of it. And yeah, I'll see you out there.